Marcus Williams sat in the marble lobby of Al Rashid Enterprises, trying not to let his nervousness show. The building was the tallest in Dubai, with gold-trimmed elevators and fountains that probably cost more than his entire neighborhood back in Detroit. He adjusted his tie, the only one he owned, and clutched his worn portfolio. "Marcus Williams?" A sharp voice called out. He stood up quickly, almost tripping over his own feet. A woman in an expensive suit looked him up and down with barely hidden disapproval. "Follow me. Mr. Al-Rashid will see you now." The walk to the top floor felt like a mile. Marcus's sneakers squeaked on the polished floor. He couldn't afford dress shoes, but he hoped his neat appearance would make up for it. His mom had ironed his shirt 3 times last night before her night shift at the hospital where she cleaned floors. The office was ridiculous. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed all of Dubai stretching out below. Behind a massive desk sat Khalid Al-Rashid, a man in his 50s wearing a suit that probably cost more than Marcus's entire college tuition. 2 other men in traditional thobes sat on a leather couch, sipping coffee. "Mr. Williams," Khalid said without looking up from his phone. "You're applying for the International Business Coordinator position." "Interesting." "Yes, sir. I believe I'm qualified." "You're 22, Khalid interrupted, finally looking at him. His eyes were cold. "You graduated from Wayne State University, not Harvard or Yale. Your resume says you speak 8 languages." He chuckled, and the 2 men on the couch joined in. "That's quite a claim." Marcus felt his face getting hot, but he kept his voice steady. "Yes, sir. 8 languages." Khalid leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Let me guess. You took Spanish in high school and French in college, counted English, and now you're padding your resume with 3 more you learned from YouTube videos." The men on the couch laughed harder. "Actually," Marcus started. "Let me tell you something, young man," Khalid said, his voice dripping with condescension. "I've interviewed hundreds of candidates. Rich kids from Oxford, Cambridge, the Sorbonne. Real institutions. They come in here with their fancy degrees and even they exaggerate their language skills." He gestured at Marcus's cheap suit. "No offense, but what makes you think you can compete with them? Your father is?" He glanced at the resume. "Oh, you left that section blank." "My father passed away when I was 6, Marcus said quietly. "I see. And your mother is?" Marcus lifted his chin. "A hospital janitor in Detroit. She's worked there for 18 years. The room went completely silent. Khalid's smirk widened. "A janitor's son who speaks 8 languages, he said slowly, as if talking to a child. "How inspiring." The sarcasm was thick enough to cut. "Let me guess, you're here to tell me some story about how you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps? How hard you worked? How you deserve this job because you struggled?" "No, sir," Marcus said, his jaw tight. "I'm here to tell you I'm the best person for this job. Period." Khalid laughed, a real laugh this time. The confidence. "I admire that truly. Tell you what, Marcus. Prove it. Speak one of these 8 languages. Right now. Something difficult. Not Spanish or French, every college student knows those." Marcus met his eyes. "Which one would you like?" "Surprise me." Marcus took a breath and spoke in perfect Arabic, with a Syrian accent. "أنا أتحدث العربية بطلاقة، وأستطيع أن أفهم اللهجة السورية والمصرية واللبنانية. تعلمتها من عائلة سورية كانت تعيش في الطابق الثالث من عمارتنا." Translation: I speak Arabic fluently, and I can understand Syrian, Egyptian, and Lebanese dialects. I learned it from a Syrian family that lived on the 3rd floor of our building. Khalid's smirk disappeared. One of the men on the couch sat up straighter. That's Syrian dialect," the man said in English, sounding shocked. "It's perfect." Marcus nodded. "The Al-Khalili family. They moved to Detroit from Damascus in 2014. Mrs. Al-Khalili used to feed me dinner when my mom worked double shifts. She taught me Arabic while her husband taught me backgammon." Khalid's face was unreadable now. "That's 1 language. You said 8. Would you like me to continue?" "Yes." "Russian. Speak Russian." Marcus switched immediately. "It's donc moving around the sounds, Я выучил русский от моего соседа, старого профессора математики по имени Виктор Петрович. Он сбежал из Советского Союза в 80-х. Он учил меня математике и шахматам каждое воскресенье. Translation: I learned Russian from my neighbor, an old mathematics professor named Viktor Petrovich. He escaped from the Soviet Union in the 80s. He taught me math and chess every Sunday. The room was dead silent now. Chinese, Khalid said, his voice harder. Mandarin Chinese. That's one of the hardest languages in the world. Marcus switched again, his tones perfect. 我的中文老师是王女士。她在我们医院的食堂工作。她教我中文，我帮她儿子学英语和代数。我每天放学后都去那里学习3年。Translation: My Chinese teacher was Mrs. Wang. She worked in the cafeteria at our hospital. She taught me Chinese, and I helped her son learn English and algebra. I went there every day after school for 3 years. Khalid stood up from his desk. That's 3. What are the other 5? Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. I learned it from the Oliveira family who owned the corner store. Spanish, which I learned from my best friend Miguel and his grandmother. French from Mr. Baptiste, a Haitian man who worked security at my high school. Japanese from anime at first, Marcus admitted with a slight smile, but then from Mrs. Tanaka, who taught piano lessons in her apartment. And German from Father Schmidt at St. Mary's Catholic Church, where my mom and I went every Sunday. That's 8, one of the men on the couch whispered. Khalid walked around his desk slowly, studying Marcus like he was a puzzle. But why did you learn all these languages? Marcus looked him straight in the eye. Because I was bored and poor, Mr. Al-Rashid. When you're poor, you can't afford cable TV, or video games, or trips to the movies. My mom worked constantly just to keep food on the table and the lights on. Our apartment building was full of immigrants and refugees, people from everywhere, all trying to make it in America. He took a breath. While other kids were playing Xbox, I was learning Arabic conjugations with Mrs. Al-Khalili. While they were at the mall, I was playing chess with Viktor Petrovich and learning how to say checkmate in Russian. I didn't have money for a tutor, but I had something better. I had neighbors who were lonely and missed their home countries. They were happy to share their languages and cultures with a kid who actually wanted to learn. Marcus's voice grew stronger. My mom cleaned floors, yes. She scrubbed toilets in a hospital where doctors looked right through her like she was invisible. But you know what she told me every single night? She said, Marcus, they can take away our money, our house, our car, but they can never take away what's in your head. Education is yours forever. So I educated myself. I learned every language I could from every person willing to teach me. Not from expensive schools or private tutors. From real people in real neighborhoods having real conversations. And along the way, I learned 8 different ways to see the world. The room was completely silent. Khalid sat back down slowly. That's an incredible story. It's not a story, Marcus said firmly. It's my life. Khalid was quiet for a long moment, his fingers steepled under his chin. When he spoke again, his tone had completely changed. I apologize, Mr. Williams. Sincerely. I made assumptions about you the moment you walked in, and that was wrong. Marcus blinked, not expecting that. However, Khalid continued, speaking languages is one thing. This job requires using them in real business situations. High-pressure negotiations. Cultural sensitivity. Reading between the lines. He pulled out his phone. I'm going to make a call. On speaker. I want you to listen and then tell me what you hear. Not just the words, the meaning behind them. He dialed. A moment later, a voice answered in Arabic, Mun. Khalid and the voice spoke rapidly for about 2 minutes. Marcus listened intently, his brow furrowed in concentration. When Khalid hung up, he looked at Marcus expectantly. Well, Marcus chose his words carefully. That was a supplier, probably from Lebanon based on the accent. He was agreeing to your terms on the surface, but he was uncomfortable. He kept using phrases like, inshallah, and we will see, in ways that weren't religious. They were diplomatic refusals. He mentioned his family 3 times, which means he's feeling pressured and wants you to back off. And he called you Habibi at the end, which seems friendly, but in this context, it felt almost condescending, like he was dismissing you. The man on the couch who had spoken earlier stood up, his mouth open. That's exactly right. That's exactly the problem we've been having with that supplier for 6 months. He keeps agreeing to terms and then missing deadlines. Khalid stared at Marcus. How did you know all that? Because Mrs. Al-Khalili taught me more than vocabulary, Marcus explained. She taught me how Arabs communicate, the importance of indirect language, face-saving, family honor. She used to tell me stories about negotiations in Damascus, how you had to listen to what people didn't say as much as what they did say. He continued, when you learn a language from textbooks, you learn words. When you learn it from real people living real lives, you learn how they think. You learn their values, their humor, their pain. Mr. Al-Rashid, I didn't just learn 8 languages. I learned 8 cultures. Khalid sat back down, running a hand over his face. I need to tell you something, Marcus. Something I haven't told anyone in this company. He looked out the window at the Dubai skyline. I grew up in a small village in Jordan. My father was a shopkeeper, a good man, but we had almost nothing. When I was your age, I came to Dubai with $200 in my pocket and a high school education. That's it. Marcus's eyes widened. I worked as a driver for a British businessman. He was cruel, dismissive. He made me feel worthless every day. But I learned from him. I learned English, I learned business, I learned how to negotiate. I watched everything he did and I did it better. Khalid turned to face Marcus. 25 years later, I bought his entire company. Renamed it Al-Rashid Enterprises. I wanted to forget where I came from, wanted everyone to think I was born wealthy, educated at the finest schools. I've been playing that role for so long that I started to believe it myself. He stood up and walked over to Marcus, extending his hand. When you walked in today, I saw myself. A kid from nothing, trying to break into a world that doesn't want him. And instead of helping you, I did to you exactly what was done to me. I'm ashamed. Marcus shook his hand, stunned. The job is yours, Marcus. But not the position you applied for. Marcus's heart sank. Sir, I'm creating a new position. Head of Cultural Intelligence and International Relations. You'll work directly with me, advising on all our international deals. You'll use those 8 languages and that understanding of cultures to help us negotiate with partners around the world. The starting salary is $180,000 a year, plus housing here in Dubai and 4 weeks vacation. Marcus couldn't breathe. $180,000? Your mother is a hospital janitor, you said? Khalid asked. Yes, sir. Not anymore. Call her. Tell her to quit. We'll match her salary so she can retire or do whatever she wants. And Marcus? Khalid smiled, a real warm smile this time. Bring your neighbors here. The Al-Khalili family, Viktor Petrovich, Mrs. Wang, all of them. I want to meet the people who taught you what Harvard and Yale never could. Marcus felt tears threatening to fall but blinked them back. Mr. Rashid, I don't know what to say. Say yes. And call me Khalid. Yes. Absolutely yes. They shook hands again, but Khalid didn't let go. There's one more thing. The real reason I'm hiring you, it's not just the languages. Marcus looked at him, confused. Khalid gestured to the men on the couch, who both stood and approached. Marcus, meet Omar and Faisal. They're my sons. The 2 men nodded. Up close, Marcus could see they were younger than he'd thought, probably in their late 20s. My sons had every advantage I never had, Khalid said. Private schools in Switzerland. Degrees from Oxford. Personal tutors for languages. They each speak 3 or 4 languages, learned from the finest instructors money can buy. He looked at his sons with a mixture of love and disappointment. But they can't do what you just did. They can speak the words, but they don't understand the people. They can translate a contract, but they miss the cultural context that makes or breaks a deal. Do you know why? Marcus shook his head. Because they learned languages as subjects to master. You learned them as bridges to people. They studied in classrooms. You lived in the real world. Khalid put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. I'm hiring you because you have something no amount of money can buy: authentic connection to people from every corner of the world. That's the future of business. Not just speaking the language, but understanding the soul behind it. Omar stepped forward, extending his hand with a sheepish smile. Dad's right. I studied Arabic for 12 years and I can barely understand that supplier you just diagnosed in 2 minutes. I'm looking forward to learning from you, Marcus. Faisal nodded in agreement. Welcome to the team. Seriously. Marcus stood in front of a room full of business executives, presenting the results of his first major project. On the screen behind him were partnership deals with companies in 8 different countries, every single negotiation successful. In the back of the room sat his mom, wearing a new dress and looking healthier than she had in years. Next to her were Mrs. Al-Khalili, Viktor Petrovich, Mrs. Wang, and several of his other neighbors from Detroit. Khalid had flown them all to Dubai, first class, to see Marcus's presentation. The key to international business, Marcus concluded, isn't just speaking the language. It's understanding the heart of the people you're speaking to. It's knowing that when a Chinese businessman invites you to dinner, refusing is insulting. It's understanding that in Arab culture, rushing to business before building a relationship will kill a deal. It's recognizing when a Russian partner's silence means disagreement, not agreement. He clicked to his final slide. These are things you can't learn from a textbook. You learn them by living, by listening, by truly caring about people from different cultures. Not as markets to exploit, but as human beings to understand. The room erupted in applause. After the presentation, Marcus's mom hugged him tight. Baby, I'm so proud of you. None of this would have happened without you, Mom. You taught me to see value in everyone, no matter what job they do or where they come from. Mrs. Al-Khalili came over, tears streaming down her face. Marcus, you made us all so proud. You took what we taught you and changed your whole life. No, Marcus said, hugging her. You changed my life. All of you did. Viktor Petrovich patted him on the back. You were always smart, boy. I knew this was possible. Khalid appeared, smiling. Marcus, I have news. We're opening offices in 3 more countries, and we need someone to lead the expansion. Someone who understands that business is about people, not just profits. Marcus raised his eyebrows. Are you offering me another promotion? Vice President of Global Operations. You'll be the youngest VP in company history. 2 years after that first interview, Marcus sat in his own office, still nothing like Khalid's penthouse, but impressive nonetheless. On his wall hung a photo of him, his mom, and all his neighbors from Detroit at his college graduation. Next to it was a framed quote from his mom, "They can never take away what's in your head." His assistant knocked. Marcus, there's a young woman here for an interview. She's applying for the language specialist position. Send her in. A nervous young woman entered. She was wearing a modest hijab and clutching a worn portfolio. She couldn't have been older than 23. Hello, Mr. Williams. I'm Fatima Hassan. Thank you for seeing me. Marcus stood and shook her hand warmly, noticing her surprise at his friendliness. Please sit. Tell me about yourself, Fatima. She sat on the edge of the chair. I'm from Detroit, actually. I graduated from Wayne State. Marcus smiled. Wayne State. My alma mater. Really? She relaxed slightly. I know this company usually hires from Ivy League schools. I probably shouldn't have applied, but I saw your name and read your story online, and I thought maybe. She trailed off. Maybe what? Maybe there was still space for people like us. Marcus leaned forward. People like us? People who didn't come from money. People whose parents worked minimum wage jobs. People who had to learn everything the hard way. She took a breath. My parents run a small restaurant in Dearborn. I learned 5 languages helping them with customers and suppliers. But on paper, compared to graduates from Harvard or Cambridge, I look like nothing. Marcus felt like he was looking in a mirror from 3 years ago. Tell me about these 5 languages, Fatima. Her eyes lit up, just as his had in that interview with Khalid. Arabic is my first language. My parents are from Yemen. I learned Spanish from our line cooks, all immigrants from Mexico and Honduras. I picked up Urdu from the Pakistani family that owned the grocery store next to our restaurant, French from our customers who came from Morocco, and Somali from our neighbors in our apartment building. Why did you learn them? Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer. Because when you're an immigrant kid, or the child of immigrants, language isn't just words. It's survival. It's connection. It's the bridge between your parents' world and your world. It's how you help your mom at the doctor's office, how you translate for your dad at the bank, how you make sure your family doesn't get cheated or ignored or dismissed. She paused, her voice growing stronger. And it's how you see other people's humanity. When you speak someone's language, really speak it, you're telling them, I see you. I respect you. You matter. That's what language taught me. Marcus sat back, a huge smile on his face. Fatima, I'm going to tell you a story. He told her everything. The interview with Khalid, the humiliation, the twist, the opportunity. He told her about his mom, the janitor, and his neighbors who became his teachers. He told her about learning that success isn't about where you start, but about how you value other people along the way. When he finished, Fatima had tears in her eyes. The job is yours, Marcus said. Not because I feel sorry for you or because we have similar backgrounds, but because you understand what this company has learned, that language is about connection, not just communication. That understanding culture is more valuable than a fancy degree. That people who've struggled know how to work harder, learn faster, and appreciate more than people who've had everything handed to them. Really, she whispered. Really. Welcome to Al Rashid Enterprises, Fatima. We're lucky to have you. That evening, Marcus video called his mom, like he did every day. Baby, how was work? She asked. She was in her new house, a small but comfortable place Marcus had bought her in a safe neighborhood in Detroit. She refused to stop working entirely, but now she volunteered at a community center, teaching cleaning skills and English to new immigrants. Mom, I hired someone today. A young woman from Dearborn. She reminded me so much of myself 3 years ago. His mom smiled that smile that had gotten him through every hard day of his childhood. You're paying it forward. That's good. That's real success. Mom, I've been thinking. I want to start a program. A scholarship or mentorship thing for kids like us. Kids from working-class families who have skills that don't fit on a traditional resume. Kids who learned from life, not just from school. What would you call it? Marcus thought for a moment. The Janitor's Son Foundation. His mom's eyes filled with tears. Baby, that's beautiful. It's the truth. I'm successful because my mom was a janitor. Because I grew up in a neighborhood full of immigrants and refugees. Because I learned that every person has value, no matter what their job title is or where they come from. That's what you taught me, Mom. That's what changed everything. I love you, Marcus. I love you too, Mom. After he hung up, Marcus looked out his window at the Dubai skyline. Somewhere out there was another kid like him, smart, hardworking, full of potential, but invisible to people who only valued expensive degrees and perfect pedigrees. He smiled. Not invisible for long.